Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. And today I'm going to be taking a look at another 2023 release, this time a very unique trio recording featuring, in my opinion, three of the most celebrated, decorated and respected musicians to come out of Denmark. And between these outstanding Danish musicians, they have seen it all, done it all, played and collaborated with just about everyone, from Miles Davis to Jan Akkerman to Tomasz Stank to Lee Konitz to Jan Garbarek. You name it, these three musicians have played with just about everyone you can imagine. And these are three musicians who, quite frankly, need no introduction whatsoever. I am talking about, of course, the one and only Palle Mikkelborg, Jakob Bro, and Marilyn Mazur. And this is their beautiful live recording that came out for the ECM label, Strands, live at the Danish Radio Concert Hall. So, just as the name says, this is a live recording that took place in February 2023 at the Danish Radio Concert Hall. And for me, this was one of the true standout albums of 2023. And it's a beautiful recording. It features only 6 tracks, but they're very long pieces. And a lot of the material on this album comes from Jakob Bro's catalogue of albums, and it features compositions from Gefion and Returnings, and the trio is comprised of Palle Mikkelborg on trumpet and flugelhorn, Jakob Bro on guitar, and Marilyn Mazur on percussion. So a very unique trio recording, and this is a very laid back, very loose, and I would say leans slightly towards avant-garde and chamber, but it's a very atmospheric sound. Palle Mikkelberg, with his trumpet playing, he creates lots of tension and lots of echoey sounds. Jakob Bro creates lots of different soundscapes and uses effects pedals with his guitar. And Marilyn Mazur, she provides lots of different textural colouring with her percussion work. And this is ECM at its finest. Top-notch production, great sound quality, an unbelievable performance from all three musicians. And I would probably say that Strands is more of a Jakob Bro recording, but for me, this is three musicians at the top of their game, regardless whose name is at the top. This is a true showcase of three outstanding musicians from Denmark, and there's a lot of space in between the notes. There's lots of room to breathe. No one is really stepping on one another. This is a true band effort, and I've listened to this album properly a few times already, and I'm always hearing new things each and every time. And for me, I've always said this, that Jakob Bro, is at his best in a trio environment, whether that's guitar, bass, and drums, or in this sort of environment. It's a very unique environment to have guitar, trumpet, and percussion. It's not really a format you see very often, but it's a format that works for all three of these musicians. So let's have a look. So there is a shot of the musicians at the concert performing. And a list of who plays on the album. And there's a shot of the band, and there's the compositions. So most of the compositions that are featured on this album are written and composed by Jakob Bro, with the exception of a co-composition by Palle Mikkelborg and Jakob Bro, and we've also got a Palle Mikkelborg composition. And most of the material, as I mentioned, is Jakob Bro's compositions, which come from Gefion and Returnings, and as you'd expect, all of these compositions are just absolutely beautiful. But then I wouldn't expect anything but the absolute best from two amazing composers like Jakob Bro and Palle Mikkelborg. So let's have a look. There's a shot of the trio, and there's Marilyn Mazur, and there's Mikkelborg there as well. It's a really lovely recording, I would say. Quite long pieces as well. So tracks we've got here are Gefion, October, Returnings, Strands, Youth, and Leicester. So as I said, there's only 6 compositions, but they're very long, but very enjoyable, and as I said, very much in the traditional realm of the ECM sound. So if you're listening to this album, you know straight away that, oh yeah, that's an ECM album, I can tell. And as you'd expect from a guy like Manfred Eicher, the production on here is just absolutely second to none. It's just absolute crisp. So the standout tracks for me are Gefion, October, definitely Returnings, which for me is the absolute standout piece of the entire live performance. It's well over 12 minutes long, and all 3 of these musicians really stretch their playing and their improvisational skills as well. And they really take this piece to new dimensions and new places that not even the studio recording could even imagine. Youth is another standout track, and Leicester, but the whole performance from start to finish is absolutely incredible. Quite frankly, I would have probably have made this a double recording because it's that good and it's so laid back. But at the same time, it's not afraid to be out there. Jakob Bro's guitar playing actually rocks up in certain sections of the music, and there's even like moments of silence, but you can hear Mazur's percussive work in the background, and even with Mikkelborg's trumpet playing, it sounds like he's playing on top of a mountain. He brings out this very loud, echoey effect that he draws from his trumpet and flugelhorn. I think, quite frankly, this should have been a double album. It's so good. And quite frankly, I would have loved to have seen this in person. I can only imagine what kind of concert this must have been like. I bet it was absolutely incredible. So there you have it. Strands live at the Danish Radio Concert Hall by Palle Mikkelborg, Jakob Bro, and Marilyn Mazur. For me, one of the true standout albums of 2023, and certainly one of the best live recordings I've ever heard ECM put out in quite some time. It's really, really good and very enjoyable. And I would probably go as far as to say that this album isn't really what you would call easy listening. It's very wild at times, but at the same time, it's really, really good. It's very enjoyable. And for me, I personally would recommend this album to anyone. If you're a fan of Jakob Bro, or if you're a fan of Palle Mikkelborg or Marilyn Mazur, then this album is definitely worth checking out. I think you're in for something very special. So there you have it. Strands live at the Danish Radio Concert Hall by Palle Mikkelborg, Jakob Bro, Marilyn Mazur. Fantastic album, and as I said already, one of the best live recordings that ECM has put out in quite some time. Absolutely beautiful. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What's your favourite track on Strands live at the Danish Radio Concert Hall? Is it Gefion, October, Returnings, Strands, Youth, or Leicester? Or did you enjoy the entire album? Do you think this album should have been a double live recording? Or do you think you was okay with it being a single album? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. And a special shout out to Adrian Goldsmith, who I know absolutely loves this album. So dedicating this to him. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.